So now I'll introduce the first speaker, Daniel Hulme. Now, Daniel is the founder and CEO of Satalia NPC Complete. I hope I pronounced that correctly. Is it Satalia or Satalia? Does it matter? It's a company that provides a unique algorithmic technology and professional services to solve industry's optimization problems. He's passionate about emerging technology and regularly speaks at events with interest in algorithms, optimization, big data, and the future internet. Daniel has been awarded a master's in computer science with machine learning and a doctorate in computational complexity from UCL. Daniel has research associate and teaching positions in information security and technology entrepreneurship at UCL. He is also a visiting fellow of the Big Innovation Center. Daniel is an advisor to cross-Atlantic startups in the area of data analytics and big data, and is involved with several global organizations in their open innovation initiatives. He holds an International Kaufman Global Entrepreneur Scholarship and actively promotes entrepreneurship and technology innovation in the UK and US. Clearly a very smart guy, somebody you definitely want on your team in a pub quiz, Daniel Hulme.
Actually, half of that's made up. It's not real. When I talk at these events, I usually talk about algorithms and optimization. It really does split the crowd, so I'll keep that very light today. I won't go into any of my background. You've heard of that. So I'm going to start off by talking a little bit about why technology transfer is important. I'll give you some examples. And then I'm going to talk about Satalia's business model. And then I will talk about the wider sort of business model that other companies are adopting. And then I might talk about the freelancer economy. So I'm not quite sure how this is going to go. It's as much as a surprise to you as it is for me. So I usually talk about big data to start with. Who's heard of big data? Oh, fantastic. Great. That's great. So big data is kind of like an emerging technology in some respects that people are getting very excited about. I won't go into any details about this. It's an entire course. But really, big data can be split up into three parts, which is aggregating data, getting access to lots of data, extracting insights from data, so using machine learning and various other tools to extract insights and patterns from data, and then making decisions based on those insights. And each one of these phases brings lots of challenges, and challenges that you can't necessarily solve within your organization because you don't have the skills and expertise to be able to solve these very, very complex things. So this is a sort of good area to think about why open innovation is important. So my particular interest is in the top part of this. So how do you make decisions, better decisions based on insights from data? Who's heard of the big O in complexity theory? O doesn't mean orgasm. I usually get that. I know it's complex. Well, okay, big O means order. It's a sort of measure of how complex problems are. I don't know if you've heard of the traveling salesman problem. This is a very classic problem in computer science. If we've got 24 points here around London, and if I said you're starting there, and I want you to visit all of the points around that map only once, and then come back to that point, how long do you think it would take for you to give me the shortest route? So the shortest path around all of those points and come back to this one. How long do you think it might take an individual? Years. Okay. Well, okay, so 24 points on a map would produce, there are about this number of many routes, possible routes for 24 points. If a computer could process 1 million routes per second, it would take 20 billion years to go through every single possible one to come back to you with the best answer. It probably doesn't make much sense, but we can talk about the maths later on. If you add another point, it's then 25 times 20 billion years, which I'm not very good at maths, but it's probably lots of years. So this is a challenging problem in computer science, and academics have spent decades trying to solve these types of problems, and there are thousands of these types of problems that exist in industry. And so what happens is that academics sort of beaver away in their rooms, and they develop algorithms to solve these types of problems. The problem is that the algorithms that they develop have a very short shelf life. They are around for 6 months before another clever academic will come along and improve on it. So you've got essentially this loads of IP that's sitting in academia that never reaches industry. There's no real transfer for it. You can't patent algorithms because they're software-based. And again, you can't really license them to industry because before you've gone through the entire licensing process, it's already out of date. So this was frustrating for me because I was building algorithms during my PhD, and I was thinking, you know, these things could really, really help the world. They could have a huge dent in these types of problems. And really that's what inspired me to start Satalia. I won't go into that. So what I thought is what we would do is we would get all of the academics to put their algorithms in a platform, on a server, and they would make those algorithms available to industry. So if you're industry and you've got a piece of software that needs access to an optimization algorithm, you need one of your complex problem solving, you can plug in this software and the problem will get sent to us and we would distribute it to a big supercomputer, the cloud, running thousands of algorithms from academia, and then when one of those algorithms solves the problem, we give you back the answer. Does that make sense? It's like a big algorithmic brain that you can plug in any software. And what you're doing is you're applying thousands and thousands of algorithms that are all state-of-the-art, brand new, to your problems. And if you do this, then you can solve problems like this a lot better than what they're being solved in industry. In industry, they build their own algorithms that are probably 20, 30 years behind state-of-the-art in academia, and they solve these problems very badly. And there are lots and lots of these types of problems. In fact, unfortunately, I see everything as an optimization problem. So I walk through London every day, and it pains me that things are being solved very, very inefficiently. So this is in some respects, it's an open innovation, automated open innovation platform to get academic IP being used in industry. And the beauty of this model is that industry never have to talk to academia, and academia never have to talk to industry. So anybody that's sat in the middle of that will understand why that's important. So this is why Satalia exists. And what's also interesting is that whilst industry are benefiting by getting access to the best algorithms, academia are benefiting because they get access to data. We can even give them royalty payments and all sorts of other cool stuff to help them improve their research. Right. So there are other types of these platforms appearing. I don't know if who's heard of Kaggle? You might have heard, no? Okay. So Kaggle is another type of competition website. It's not automated like Satalia, but it's essentially a website for data science competitions. So as a company, you can set a challenge, you can make some data available, and you can say, I want you to extract some insights from this data, and I will give you $250,000 if you can do this. And what happens, you have teams of people and academics all over the world trying to solve that problem. This is now manual, people actually solving the problem as opposed to the IP just solving it automatically. And what happens is that they all compete for a certain period of time, and at the end of it, one of them will be a winner. And they might get the prize, they might get a job, or whatever. And there are lots of these types of platforms, these competition platforms appearing, like 99 Designs. Is that 99 Designs? Where if you want a logo designing for your business, you can put your brief up there, people will all give you some designs, and then you go through a process of choosing the best one. But you can imagine all of this energy going into solving that problem, but only one person gets rewarded. And I think that's a problem. I think that's a problem for these types of platforms. And, okay, so this is where I start to ramble about freelancer economy. Tangentially, apparently by 2020, there are going to be more freelancers than there are employed people. And it's my expectation that platforms that adopt this type of model are going to enable that economy to flourish. It's going to enable people, individuals or teams to work on problems that are being provided by different companies. So you're not just working for one company or solving problems for multiple companies. But as I said, one of the challenges is that it's only the winner that really gets rewarded. So I expect in some distant future that there will be some mechanism that would allow you to measure the quality of a person. Maybe they don't win a competition, but they come third or fourth or fifth. Maybe they blog. Maybe they answer questions on Stack Exchange. I think all of this data is going to be collected, and you're going to be able to have some sort of metric or measure for an individual. And so when companies come to me, to Satalia, and say, I want you to solve this problem, but I don't want to make my problem available to the crowd because it's my data secret and things like that, we would then be able to try and source these individuals who we know are good at solving that problem. Now, they might not be winners of those competitions, but because of this kind of universal metric of expertise, we can go and source those people and contract them to work on those projects. And I think that that type of universal metric is something that we're exploring in UCL, a project that we've just won for the next 3 years. And I think that is going to help lubricate this freelancer economy. I'm sure there's some more things I wanted to say about this, but I think I'll probably stop there and leave it to questions. Thank you.
We do have some Nadia and Seema with mics, so if you have got a question, put your hand up and wait for the mic to come.
Yes.
Hi, Daniel. I like the humor in your talk, and it's not often I see a big data person present like you. Good job.
Thank you.
But coming from UCL, what was your experience from actually spinning out what you've been doing into real business, and how did open innovation play into this?
That is a good question. So I originally spun out UCL from my PhD research, and it was a lengthy, painful process. Again, anybody that's been involved in technology transfer is. I think it depends on the individuals. We were very fortunate that our account manager in UCL Business was fantastic, and she's still with the company now. So I think it really does depend on that. In terms of open innovation, I was sent to the US for a few years to learn about how they do innovation so well, and I try to have innovation in everything that I do. I think what part of my company can I outsource? What part can I get other people to do instead of me? And so I've always had that attitude, and I think that if we can try and instill that attitude in more entrepreneurs, then they might be a little bit more successful. I really don't know. Yes.
Sorry, I'll try to talk quite loudly. How would you build trust in your system? So I ran an employability project in South London last year, and the key factor wasn't necessarily what people knew or their skills, it was the level of trust that an employee can have for them, and the kind of quality of work is assumed through that trust. So how would your data system build that human element of trust?
It's for Sotalio of this universal metric.
Well, for both, sorry.
For the universal metric, I suppose, first of all, but I'm also interested in it around the Sotalio piece.
That's a really good question. If I had the slide back up, I'd be able to try and explain where the actual issues are. So that you can create the technology, you can create the platform, but creating the ecosystem is very difficult. As you said, how do you trust people with your data? How do you trust people with the IP? How do you translate value from money that's being created to things that incentivize the community? What open innovation techniques can you get people can you implement to get people to engage? I think that trust is absolutely paramount, and I'm not sure I know the answer. As a startup, one of the things that we try to do is get as many case studies as possible. So if we can go to a company and say, we can solve your problem, but we haven't had any proof, then companies will say, go away and go and show me that you've done this with other people. But once you can start getting some case studies, then people start to trust you more, or you form strategic partnerships with people. I'm not sure we know the answers quite yet, which is why we've just won this award to try and explore this new economic model and figure out how do you create an ecosystem to make these platforms work.
For us, it was kind of circles of trust. So yeah. the kind of, as you move out away from your network through your contacts, how you can transfer trust through that. So
yeah, I mean, I'd be great to talk to you about that and learn more.
I think we can have one more question now before we move on. I think you put your hand up. This one, gentleman over here.
Thank
you. I want to ask about your last part of the discussion,
yes.
And I understand that your issue is about the winner takes all type of the word about this software or the programming issues, and then I think that you are challenging against. And the number 3 or number 4 or number 5 is going to commit to the word. But what I don't understand is how you are making or organizing such runner-ups in this world.
Will you just repeat that last bit, please? Sorry.
I want to ask you about how, in which manner well, your business model, how you are going to organize the second person, third person, fourth person, not only the winners?
Well, I think that when you enter these competitions and when you supply your answer, you automatically get a ranking.
Yes.
So you're already ranked on the quality of your solution.
Yeah,
but I think that augmenting that with whether that individual or team blogs, whether they answer questions, whether they how well they're regarded within the community, I think we can augment all of that data together to give a measure of the quality of a person.
Yeah. After that, you identify the quality of persons, and then how are you going to combine them into the real value or real business?
That's a good question. Again, what we would have to do is create open standards so that all of the platforms shared this type of measure. And again, these are questions that need to be answered. I don't quite know yet. And again, this is why we've received the funding to explore some of this. But if anybody has any ideas, then it would be great to explore them.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Daniel. There'll be opportunities for people to ask questions in the discussion later on. So, thank you.